Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a most carried video. This is going to be the knives that I've been carrying around the most often for early 2021. Before I get into that, I thought I'd do a really quick first impressions on this CJRB Agave. While I was kind of getting ready for this video, this one showed up, so I thought I'd give you guys just a really quick rundown and let you know my first impression. So this is a D2 blade drop point, flat grind. You can see it's a moderate flat grind, kind of an interesting sort of almost aiming toward a Warncliffe style blade, but not quite there. We've got a what looks to be a fairly big finger choil, but in fact my finger doesn't quite fit in there. Liner lock, aluminum scales with this sort of nice orange peel finish on it, decorative pivot, deep carry clip that is repositionable, and the screws are flush, which is nice to see. And this, of course, is a flipper on bearing. So that's the quick rundown of the features on the Agave. In terms of size and weight, it's 8 1/4 inches, 3.5 inch blade, 3 3/4 inch handle, 4 inches of grip area. That's not including that finger choil, and 3.9 ounces. Now, the big thing that stood out to me is the very first thing I did was first I grabbed it like this, and then I went to choke up because it kind of lends itself to that. But this is not quite big enough. So kind of an annoying little fail there. I think what I'm going to do, it'd be really, really easy to just modify this blade ever so slightly, give myself, you know, an extra 1/16 of an inch or so, and I think that's all it would need to be more than enough to easily choke up there and have a full finger choil. So I think I'm going to take a Dremel tool to this guy, and I'll let you know how that turns out. But yeah, so my first impression is overall, like, the action is good, the build quality is good, which we're pretty much used to from CJRB, but that finger choil didn't work out quite as I had hoped. So let's get that guy out of the way, and actually we'll get these out of the way as well and move on into my most carried of early 2021, beginning with this guy right here. So this is the Spyderco Amalgam. I'd actually gotten rid of an Amalgam, and you know what? I missed it so much that I had to get another one. And I've had this for, I don't know, 3-4 months now, and been loving it. You know, back when I first reviewed this, I really enjoyed it. And you know what happens, something comes up and you're after a grail, and so you're willing to sell some stuff that you really don't want to sell. That's what happened to this initially, but I'm really happy to have one back, and I've been carrying it a lot. And I really, you know, this may be my favorite Spyderco. I know it's not perfect. There are a couple little things that, you know, it could do a little bit better. Those would be, by the way, I don't mind the compression lock with the flipper, but it could use a stiffer detent. That would be the primary thing right there. If it had a stiffer detent, that would really make a big change. And I may actually modify this to stiffen the detent. I didn't realize this was going to be a knife mod video, but apart from that, I really enjoy everything about this knife, especially in use. I just find this handle is so comfortable and this blade is so well balanced that I find myself using it a lot and carrying it a lot. And you know, you can carry a big substantial knife and also it's not super heavy. So that's an easy favorite. It's one of my favorite knives just in general. Certainly, if it's not my very favorite Spyderco, it's in the top 2 or 3. So Spyderco Amalgam has been with me a whole lot. Another one that I recently reacquired is the Benchmade Super Freak. I had one of these for a long time. I ended up getting rid of it. Again, I can't remember exactly what I was chasing at the time, but boy, I was wishing to myself that I had not gotten rid of this knife. So I ended up buying another one, and again, super stoked. This is one that's not ever going to leave the collection. I do have a little bit of a theme here to hit on next before we get into some of the other stuff, but there have been a couple of knives that I've gotten recently, all from Real Steel. Now, not all of these are Ivan Bregnitz designs. I'm probably saying his name wrong. The top 2 are the Lynx and the Akuma, and then this is one of the Prometheus design collaborations with Real Steel called the Phasma Free, and it's free because it's free of a thumb stud. Anyway, I just love all 3 of these, and I've been carrying these an awful lot, and all 3 of them have really kind of reminded me that I should pay a little more attention to Real Steel, because all of these are fantastic. I actually took this one apart recently, and it turns out I knew the action was nice, and I was like, I've always been impressed by the action on this, but I took it apart and it turns out this has dual row ceramic bearings. If you follow me on Instagram, you already know that. I did share some pictures, and I'm like, wow, for 70 bucks, you have to pay like Riyadh or Shirogorov money normally to get dual row ceramic bearings. So to get it in this knife is really, really a welcome surprise. This has it as well, but this is like 235 bucks, so you kind of expect it. So just in case you're watching this, you're going, Kevin, say those names again. This is the Real Steel Lynx, this is the Real Steel Akuma, and this is the Real Steel Phasma Free. No bearings in here. This guy is on phosphor bronze, but boy, is it enjoyable. And really for this knife, it's the design that I love. I just think it's one of the most really attractive budget knives out there. It's just cool and interesting and simple and effective. I like this knife an awful lot. Okay, so that was the Real Steel theme, and all three of those have been in my pocket a lot, and I've been very, very impressed. Next up, a couple of knives that make this list pretty regularly. It's been a little while since I did a most carried, but I'm pretty sure if you go back and look at some of my most carried, you're going to find the Cold Steel Formax and the Cold Steel 8010 on there quite a lot. Both of these are Andrew Demko designs, and these are my favorite Demko designs for sure. I really, really enjoy both of these. I just find them easy to carry, easy to work with. It's hard to really complain. Obviously, this is going to be too big for a lot of people to carry regularly, but this knife, if I was, I don't know, had to run out of my house because it was burning down and I couldn't take any knives, this would probably be the one I'd reach for. It's just so well done. There are knives that I like a little bit better sort of from an emotional standpoint that I connect to more, but in terms of practicality, this is such a huge win. Let's see here. Some high-end stuff, again, pretty regular features on this list. The Chris Reeve knives in Cosi with the Tanto blade. I like this a lot. I find it really, really utilitarian, and I carry it quite a bit. Just very, very enjoyable knife. And of course, my XM18. I've had this again on many of these lists and talked about it and featured it on the channel many, many times. And I do find this to be just a really, really enjoyable knife. It's comfortable, it's useful, and this is definitely one of those knives that you feel like you're kind of ready for anything. This and a couple of the others on this list that we've already talked about. Let's see here, another Spyderco. This Spyderco, sorry, I knocked my mat. This Spyderco, if it weren't for the Amalgam, might be my favorite. These two would be probably my top two favorite Spydercos. This is the Manix 2 lockback, and I will say it's specifically the lockback that I like. It's not that I dislike the other Manixes, but this one, it's so good in hand. It just feels so natural, and that's the same thing that the Amalgam has going for it, is the feel in hand. The ergonomics on both of these are just fantastic. And so both of them get carried a lot. Both of them carry really easily as well, which is important. Two more knives to share with you. One is going to be a fixed blade. Again, one that's been on this list many times. This is the Line Steel M4. I regularly, put this on my belt. Sometimes I even, in my winter coat, I've got sort of a big internal pocket, and it's narrow, so I can slip this in the internal pocket of my winter coat, and it carries really, really comfortably, and it's great for, if you're walking the dog, if you're whatever you're doing, throw this thing in your pocket and you're good to go. I've taken this with me on a couple of camping trips recently. It's done a great job. Or really, I've done just a couple of overnights with my boys. A couple of sort of cookouts with my boys where we're not staying overnight. We're just spending some time in the bush. We'll have a meal, make a fort, do a bunch of different stuff. And this goes with me almost all the time. Not to mention, I'll throw this in my pocket when I'm just, I EDC this quite often. Just my favorite fixed blade for sure. And one of my, again, this would be on my short list of very favorite knives in general. One last knife to share with you guys, and the reason I left this one till last is because it kind of breaks the rules. This is not exactly a knife that has been in my pocket a ton because it's fairly new. I've only had this for like a couple weeks, I think. But there was an instant connection. I really, really enjoy this knife. It is so well done that I may have to make a whole video about this, just arguing in favor of this being the very best budget knife out there. It's thin and slicey as can be. It looks great. The materials are nice. It's comfortable in hand, and the action is really, really enjoyable. Not to mention you get a fairly large, substantial, capable knife in a pretty lightweight package. So this is the Civivi Shredder. I just realized I hadn't said the name of it, and I don't think I said the name of this one either. This is a Lion Steel M4. So there you go, guys. That's what's been in my pocket the most the last, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks probably. We're not quite 8 weeks into 2021, but we're working on it. So there you go. Let me know what's been in your pocket down in the comments below. And don't forget to check those channel sponsors. That does help the channel a whole lot, whether it's to use the discount code at White Mountain Knives or Southern Edge Knife Works, or to go to DLT. DLT is awesome. They don't always have the best prices. I get that. And if they don't, then don't go there. But if you're going to buy something, you know, one, they tend to have a great selection of like higher end stuff, Hinderers and CRKs and stuff. So if that's what you're in the market for, DLT is a great spot. Same with Bark River. Really, if you're into really nice high-end fixed blades, they have great selection of that as well. So go check them out. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We will talk to you soon.